Hi students, today we will study an ANOVA problem which has three factors. We studied many ANOVA problems before. We studied a single factor ANOVA problem. We studied two factors. Now it is time to look at the problems which has more than two factors. As the number of factors increases, the problem becomes more and more complicated, and the number of experiments also increases. So in this particular problem here, let me read this problem for you first. The quality control department of a fabric finishing plant is studying the effect of several factors on the dyeing of cotton synthetic cloth used to manufacture men's shirts. Three operators, three cycle times, three cycle times and two temperatures were selected, and three small specimens of cloth were dyed under each set of conditions. The finished cloth was compared to a standard and a numerical score was assigned. The results follow. The results are given in this table here, and we have been asked to analyze the data and draw conclusions, right? And also we need to comment on model's adequacy, right? So basically, which three factors are there? Temperature is one factor, and it has set at two different levels, 300 degree and 350 degree. Another factor is operator. Second factor is operator, and there are three different operators, 1, 2, 3, right? And third factor is cycle time, and cycle time also has three levels, 40, 50 and 60. And the problem says that at each particular level of the factor combination, three replicates of the experiment were performed. So for example, at cycle time 40, temperature 300 degree, and for the first operator, for these levels of the factors, three experiments were performed, right? And we have reading the scores for the these experiments, and the higher the score, the better the fabric, right? Now first thing, as usual, is to enter this data in Minitab, and this time, since there are a number of experiments are huge and we have three factors, we have to be very careful while we enter the data in Minitab, right? I already entered data here, but let me show you what I did. So you can see I have four columns. First column is cycle time, second is temperature, and third column is operator, right? And I have listed their levels in each row, 40, 300 and operator 1, and I have listed the score here, 23. And you see that I repeated these values for two more times, because there are three experiments performed at each combination. So for these three particular replicates, I have listed scores here. Similarly, you can fill the rest of the table. As you can see, there are almost 54 total number of rows, right? Now this time we will, since this experiment is obviously balanced, we go back to stat ANOVA, and we can use either balanced ANOVA or general linear model. Any of these two is good because the experiment is balanced. But since many of you are using Minitab 14 version, I will use balanced ANOVA this time so that you won't have any problem, right? So I selected balanced analysis of variance. what is my response variable? Response variable is score, right? So I select there. Then for model, as you have seen last time, we are interested in the main effects as well as interaction effects. So let's say there are three main effects, right? First is cycle time. So I selected cycle time. Second main effect is because of the temperature factor. So I selected temperature. Similarly, third main effect will be operator, right? So these are main effects. Now I also want to look at the interaction between the between the factors. So first interaction I'm interested in looking at is cycle time. The interaction between cycle time and temperature. Similarly, the interaction between cycle time and operator. And you can see here how I am representing an interaction. I am selecting one variable, then putting a star and then another variable. So first variable star and then second variable. So that is for the interaction between the two factors. So cycle time and temperature we have selected. Cycle time and operator is second interaction. And another third one is temperature star score, the interaction effect between temperature and operator. And finally, there can be a three-way interaction between cycle time, temperature and operator. So to include that, I'm going to select cycle time star temperature star and operator, right? Now, so we have defined our model here. We also selected our response variable, and we know that there are no random variables given in our problem, so we don't need to enter anything here, right? Next is we will select options. So we don't want to restrict a restricted form of the model, so we will leave it as it is. I will go to results section. See, now there is nothing to fill in here. It's okay as it is. Graphs. So I want to study the residuals in this problem. That's why I can select normal plot of residuals so that I can see whether the normality assumption is good or not. Then I will select residuals versus the predicted values to see if the variance is okay or not. And anyway, what I will do is this time I will do 4 in 1. So I capture all the 4 graphs. And also I want to see the graphs of residuals against the factors as usual, right? So residuals against cycle time I want to see. I also want to see residuals against the temperature and residuals against operator, right? So I'm gonna click OK, and now we are ready to run this model, right? So again select OK, and we have all the graphs and results here. So let's look at the results first. So let's look at this table here. The first row shows the main effect of cycle time, right? And you can see the p-value which is less than our alpha value, right? So that's why what we can say about this is the main effect of cycle time is significant, right? Cycle time has significant effect on the fabric. F value is also very high. Similarly, temperature, you can see p value is again less than alpha value. so main effect of temperature is also significant. Operator, again p-value 0, it has significant effect. Now the interaction effect of cycle time and temperature, again p-value 0, this interaction has significant effect on the model. The interaction between cycle time and operator, yes, p is almost 0, so this interaction has significant effect. Now temperature versus operator, we can see here p-value is higher than alpha value, right? So that means this particular interaction between temperature and operator is not significant. And finally, the three-way interaction between cycle time, temperature and operator, 0.016, seems to be a significant interaction. So now we have analyzed the table, right? Next what we need to do, we need to look at the graphs to see that the residuals are okay, the model is adequate, right? So let me look at this plot first. So we can see the normal probability plot. The residuals are nicely settled along this straight line, so that means the assumption of normality is good, right? And let's look at the residuals versus operator. There is nothing unusual, there is no, you cannot see any trend from this graph, so this is good. Here also don't see anything unusual. Variance, that means the variance is good, there is no problem with variance, right? There is nothing unusual about these graphs. Now in your homework problem you also need to plot interaction plots, right, to show the interaction plot and analyze them. So I will show you how to draw those plots. So again, go to stat, go to ANOVA, and you can see here main effects plot and interaction effects plot, right? So let me click on interaction effect. Again, our response is score and the factors are cycle time, temperature, cycle time and operator, right? And I will say display full interaction plot matrix, and okay, so now you can see these interaction plots. Let's take a look at them. Now you can see the first graph is on y-axis. We have for this particular graph here, on y-axis we have the scores, and on x-axis you have 40, 50, 60, that is cycle time. So cycle time against score, this particular graph, and the red and black color indicates the temperature, 300 and 350, right? So you can see the 350 similarly for this graph here, this graph is, so this graph was between score and the cycle time, right? The next graph is, we have again, look at here, we have score on y-axis, and on x-axis what do we have? So if you look at this bottom here, 1, 2, 3, so we have operator on the x-axis and score on y-axis, and if you look on the right side, you see the color, the temperature is indicated by the color. Similarly, if you go down, now look at this graph here, you will see this graph is between on y-axis what do we have? Again we have scores, and on x-axis we have temperature. Now we have temperature on x-axis, and the color red, green and black, they show the cycle time. 40 for black, like black color for 40, red for 50 and green for 60, right? Similarly you can study the other graphs. Now looking at this whole plot, you can see here the red line which indicates on the very first row, the red line indicates the temperature, right? So you can see that the like if the higher score is better, what temperature level would you like to select? It is obvious that you would want to select the red color, because for the red, this red line, you have better values of score as compared to the black line, right? So you will want to select a temperature of 350. And now next let us look at the second row. The color in cycle time is indicated by the different colors. Again I can see here the red line is kind of giving you better value, right? So you would basically go for a red color line which is 50, cycle time is 50. And similarly for operator also the red line looks good, so second operator, right, which indicates the second operator here. So that is what you can tell from this graph, what are the ideal conditions for this experiment, right? So now that is all about this problem, and your homework problems are similar to this problem. The main thing here is to enter your data correctly. I have seen in some of the homeworks, some of the students' homeworks, is that they have entered the data incorrectly and then their results were obviously wrong. So please be careful when you are entering the data in Minitab. And if you have any questions, you can call me. If you don't understand anything from the book, you can call me, you can talk to me, I can explain it